What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Since it is the AFL off season, I decided today I'm gonna go over every AFL team's best Guernsey they wore in 2023. Now, before we get into this video, if you do like the AFL content, make sure to subscribe to this channel, as I will be trying to upload a fair bit of AFL content and all of that. Now, kicking in with the Crows, so their best Guernsey in 2023 is the 2023 Gather Round Guernsey. Right there, oh my lord, that Guernsey is elite. They need to wear this next year or something similar like that, because this Guernsey is so good. It's just, they've got like the retro crow they used to wear on the old Guernseys, and it works so well. The colour scheme's all nice. It's just a really good Guernsey. Now, next up is the Brisbane Lions. Now, this was a sort of a challenging one to find, as Brisbane this year had some decent Guernseys, but I've decided I'm going to go with this one right here. I'm going to go with the 2023 away Brisbane, or clash/away, the gold and maroon one. I don't know why, the colours, you wouldn't really want to use them when you're doing stuff, but for some reason it just stands out really nicely and it works really well. Not too much to say though, but it is definitely, probably in my opinion, the Brisbane's best Guernsey they wore this season. Now we have the Carlton Blues next. Now this was sort of a hard one, because not because there was so many Guernseys to pick from, it's because Carlton, when you look at their Guernseys, it's just it's boring and poor. They don't really have enough good Guernseys or anything, and like when you think about it, you can't really make a Carlton Guernsey without the monogram, so it's sort of a bit hard. But I took my time and I finally found one. So the best Guernsey Carlton wore this season is the 2023 Indigenous one. Now this is actually not a bad design compared to all the other ones. The patterns are really nice. I like the way the different types of blues in there, and like the spear and all that. It's a good design. It's better than the other ones for sure. Now we're coming in with the Collingwood Magpies, and oh my god, this was actually like the Blues, but Collingwood this season had pretty much no good Guernseys. But then when you think about it, you still need them black and white stripes because it's a unique design. But the best one I could find is the Indigenous one, and the Pies Indigenous Guernsey is probably the worst Indigenous Guernsey this season, or close to ever being made. I don't know about that, but it's definitely probably the worst this season. It's just very boring, and it will probably just look the same without the patterns or with the patterns. It's just got little circles that add a little bit different detail. It's very boring. Nothing's really changed except for adding stuff into two stripes. So it was hard to find, but this is probably the best one. Now we have the Essendon Bombers. Now, a team I don't really like, but they do have some pretty good Guernseys. The best one though, it was a bit hard, as if this was a couple of years ago, the best one was probably just the all red one. But then when I looked at it all red Guernsey this year, I didn't really like it, because when you look at the older ones, they had like a black outline around the sash, where this year they didn't, so it wasn't my favourite. However though, I do like this design Essendon did, is the Indigenous/Dreamtime out of G Guernsey they used, and it is a really good Guernsey in my opinion. The bird looks very nice, then you got like the people down the bottom, and then the black base going into like the grey actually suits kind of well. And I'm not a big grey person myself when it comes to Guernseys, but the way how the black starts sort of fading into the grey type thing, it looks pretty good, and it's definitely my favourite Essendon Guernsey this season. Next up, we have my team, the Freo Dockers. Now, they had some pretty good designs this season. However, the best Guernsey the Freo Dockers wore this season has to be the 2023 Gather Round Guernsey. Now, this looks elite, like the Gather Round Crows one. It's the black and purple works so well together. You wouldn't think it would, but it does. It's such a good design. They definitely need to wear this or something similar to this next year. I really like this design. It's definitely the best this season, or one of the best. Now we have the Geelong Cats. Now, they sort of have basic Guernseys as well. It's just like striped sideways. It can be very boring. I couldn't really find much. So the best Guernsey the Cats wore this season has to be the 2023 Indigenous ones. Now, I couldn't decide either between the home or away, so I just put them both on the list. One's just white with blue type Indigenous patterns, and then one's just a blue background with white type Indigenous patterns. The patterns are kind of nice. The background though is just a bit plain, but it's probably the best one they wore this season. Now we have the Gold Coast Suns, similar to Geelong. Their best Guernsey is the 2023 Indigenous, and I couldn't decide between the two, so I just added them both in. Now, I don't know why, but a lot of people aren't a fan of the blue base kit with the Suns. Now, I don't know why, but I actually don't mind it. It suits kind of well. But then it's kind of annoying because the colour scheme the Gold Coast Suns have is such a good colour scheme. But then they make the poorest designs of Guernseys. I think with the colours they have, they can make a better Guernsey. But yes, the Indigenous ones are the best for this season. I couldn't decide between the red or the blue, so I just add them both in. They're pretty much the same, obviously just different background colours. Now we have the GWS Giants, similar to the Cats and the Suns. I have two because I couldn't really decide here. But the best Guernsey Giants wore this season is the Never Surrender jersey and the orange away Guernsey. I couldn't decide between the two. I don't know why, just with the Never Surrender Guernsey, the grey, like I said, I'm not a fan of grey when it comes to Guernseys, but just the way this is, I actually like this design. I don't know, I've met a lot of people out there in the AFL community like this as well, but to me, it's a pretty good design, so it's up here. But then it's same with the orange one. It's sort of similar, just different background, obviously, and then with the G in the middle. They're both pretty good designs. I couldn't decide between the two, but they are definitely the best Guernsey Giants for this season. Now, next up, we have the Melbourne Demons, and their best Guernsey they wore in 2023 is the Way/Clash Indigenous Guernsey. Now, this blue, whenever D's wear it, it turns into be one of my favourite D's Guernseys ever. The blue works so well with the red, and then with the patterns on the Indigenous Guernsey, looks so nice. Not so much to say, but it is probably the best Guernsey D's wore this season. Now, next up is the North Melbourne Kangaroos, and their best Guernsey in 2023, I reckon a lot of you can agree with this, is the white bound in roo Guernsey. Now the way they brought back the old bound in roo is a game changer. This Guernsey is definitely one of my favourites, and they're definitely one of the best Guernseys out there. The fact that they wore this again, it's so good. So it's definitely the best Guernsey North Melbourne wore this season. Next up, we have the Richmond Tigers. Their best Guernsey in 2023 is their Indigenous Guernsey. Now, usually I'm pretty sure they wear a black background when it comes to Indigenous time, but this time they wore the yellow background, and it looks so good. And then the patterns inside the sash and all that, it works so well. And yellow background when Richmond wear it is so good. It's one of my favourite Guernseys when they wear the yellow one. So the fact they used it for Indigenous, it's definitely probably the best one. Now, next up, we have the St Kilda Saints. This was a bit of a hard one, similar to some of the other ones where we've put two in it. So this one I couldn't decide. So I put two for the best Guernsey Saints wore in 2023, and that is the 2023 Indigenous one. It's probably one of the best Indigenous Guernseys out there in the AFL. The fact that they brought the Aboriginal colours and then the little patterns, it's not too much detail, but it looks pretty good. And it is the best Guernsey, or one of the best Indigenous Guernseys. And then that other one is the retro throwback, the 2023 Saints Clash all red one. Now this looks elite. The fact that they brought back the 90s style is so good. It's definitely one of the best designs out there for Saints, and it's just good to have it back. Now next up is the Sydney Swans. This was a bit of a hard one as well, because the home and away are usually just like the Opera House, and they're not called the Sydney Opera Houses, they're called the Sydney Swans. They need to add swans onto it. But so there wasn't many designs, so I just had to go with the 2023 Indigenous one. It wasn't really the best one out there either, But Swans don't really have that many designs. So Indigenous one for the 2023 is probably their best Guernsey they wore this year. The blue, I don't know why they need the blue. The patterns aren't too bad, I suppose. But I don't see why they need the blues, consider blue isn't part of Sydney. Now we have the second last team, the West Coast Eagles. Their best Guernsey in 2023 has to be the 2023 Indigenous Guernsey. This looks amazing. Now the way the eagle is, and then the patterns around the eagle, and then just on the back it's like a faded blue to a light blue with a little pattern down the bottom. It looks so good, and to be honest, if they wore it again next year, it would definitely be their best Guernsey, I reckon, next year. It's not much to say about this, but it is a really good Guernsey. Now we kick into the final team, the Western Bulldogs. Now similar to the other few teams, I couldn't really decide between the two, so I've had to add both of them in. But the best Guernseys the Dogs wore in 2023 has to be either the 2023 Indigenous or the 2023 90s retro design. Now the Indigenous looks pretty good. I'm pretty sure it's a snake around the like little stripes, but the stripes aren't straight, they're like wavy, and then the patterns are pretty cool. And then the 90s retro, I don't know why, but I just sort of like when the AFL brings back like retros. As long as the design looks good and all that, and not just like crap, then the retro looks good. But yes, the Bulldog actually looks pretty strong and all that, and looks like angry and fierce. And then the Indigenous looks pretty unique and good as well. So yeah. Anyway, guys, that was me going through every AFL team's best Guernseys that they wore in 2023. Now, if you want to see more AFL content on my channel, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, because this channel is about AFL and all that, and I should be trying to get more content out around AFL. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.